no music today. So we're going a cappella. Welcome back to Two Dudes and a Mexican. I am your host, some dude named Victor Salazar. To the left of me, my co-host, some dude named Peter Soprano.
So,
to the right of me, resident Mexican, Dave Quinones.
Let me end it.
I think Dave's asleep. I don't know, man. Like,
rough night.
He's getting me worried.
National Tequila Night that day. So,
I'm gonna go to Agave's and
There you go.
throw some back. Welcome back, boys. We are live. Bogey's has a new menu.
Yep. Good new stuff.
Very nice.
Nice and fancy. Wednesdays at Bogey's, as usual. Good specials. $8 wine bottles. Get twisted off a wine bottle and $9 pasta. Pretty affordable. Pretty good. Special show today, boys. Obviously, this is going to be primarily a boxing show. Sunday, we'll probably come back and talk about the football and baseball. A lot happened this weekend. Some great, some not so great, some tragic. Just to lead off, Pacquiao, Thurman, David, kick it to you. You seem pretty impressed with Manny Pacquiao this weekend. Tell me your thoughts of the fight. How'd you score it? What'd you think?
At the end, I scored at 115, 112. I mean, I think it could have been 116, 111. I told you guys, I didn't see Pacquiao slowing down. Obviously, Pacquiao had the bigger moments in the fight. You know, he had the knockdown. You know, he hurt Thurman with a body punch at one point. You know, Manny just, he outdid him. I mean, he threw more punches. He was more active. He was the aggressor. I thought Thurman had some moments. I thought Thurman, to be honest with you, was gonna fight a different fight. He was gonna move a lot more and try to create some more distance and utilize his jab. But I mean, he elected sometimes to trade with Pacquiao, so which I thought was not the right. Yeah, he is bigger, and obviously he looked bigger, but. I mean, Pacquiao was really the bigger hitter, so essentially. So, but I told you guys, I thought he convincingly won. I thought Pacquiao convincingly won. I didn't think it was any issues with that, other than the one card that had. Thurman won 114, 113, so I couldn't see Thurman winning there. So, but impressive win of Pacquiao. Makes history, right? Oldest fighter to win
That's Bernard Hawkins, bro. What's wrong with you, man?
No, the division.
Oh, division. All right. Take it back, bro.
Listen, I had this before.
You said the oldest guy to win a title?
In the division.
I didn't hear division.
division.
I didn't hear division.
Division. You, hey.
Listen. I had it the same thing. I had it 115, 112. I said at worst I could see it 114, 113, but I had Pacquiao winning. In terms of the one judge that had Thurman winning, I always say in every fight I always say there's always one.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's always one.
I mean, you called it too, right?
I said it was going to be a split decision. There's always one. So I knew it was going to be a split decision when it was done. People even asked me that before the fight. I was like, no, do not bet majority, do not bet unanimous. It's going to be a split decision. It's like, that's how it's going to be. But I thought Pacquiao, I thought his speed was what hurt Thurman. I think that he didn't realize how fast he was and the angles that he's going to come at. You can see very early in the fight that the different angles kind of got Thurman off balance, and that created the first knockdown. Like, he threw a punch while he was moving to his right and throwing back with his left. It kind of caught him off balance. It's like he wasn't ready for the angles. And that first knockdown didn't really hurt him, but it kind of woke him up like, oh shit, now I'm in the ring with Manny Pacquiao.
Just throwing, like you said, punches from different angles. I mean, he was catching Thurman sometimes, and you could see Thurman was like, oh, shit.
Now there was one thing. Now in the middle of the fight, Thurman did start to get a rhythm in that fight.
He did.
And he caught Pacquiao a couple times.
Like towards like the middle and like towards the end a little bit.
But at that point, the fight was already, Pacquiao had won probably 5 of the first 6 rounds or 4 of the first 6 rounds. He had already built a little bit of a gap already. So he just had to maintain the rest of the fight and not get knocked out. And there was some times where Manny got hit flush in the face, and he looked like it didn't even bother him.
Like sometimes he hit himself.
Yeah,
like,
he hit himself.
He's like getting mad. I'm like, what the?
He just shook it off and just kept going back at him. Like I was impressed with what it was, but listen, I was the one saying before that. Listen, boy, did Manny is the best Manny right now. So.
Oh, come on, man.
Listen, hey, I said it before the fight. I'm not gonna stop saying it now. Shout
out to Ryan, cousin Ryan. All right, your boy won. And listen, until you find proof or anything, I don't think you can say people are roiding each other.
Well, I'm not going to say anything.
Speculation.
I'm not going to say anything about roiding. Sean Gibbons, Manny Pacquiao's manager, has openly said that Pacquiao and Thurman were enrolled in the WBC clean boxing program. I mean, there might be some truth to that. I mean, there's some research that has to be done on that. I'm not going to be the one to do it because I'm just not.
Who knows Periscope?
What? Clark?
We need to have like that technical difficulty. The screen with all the
It
colors.
was doing fine. You said, right?
It just freeze up.
Are you in the Wi-Fi?
You got a Wi-Fi or?
No regular mobile data.
That's why you guys are on the Wi-Fi, my guy.
So,
Dude, everything freezes up.
Your phone goes up?
No, I am on the Wi-Fi.
are you still recording or not?
It's still recording.
So this will be the outtakes, I guess. The bloopers, like you said, the bloopers.
That's what happens when Pete says people taking steroids.
It's messed up, Pete. No evidence, man.
Come on, Clark. Get your head in the game.
God damn it, Clark.
Live, fucking live.
Where you want to go from here?
Then just go live, start.
Doesn't say go live.
Doesn't say go live, it just gave it to us to go live.
We back.
Are we back?
So it's press go live.
And take 3.
Take 2. That's pretty bad. Live TV, live shows, things happen. This is what Clark gets for making fun of Manny Pacquiao and his steroid use.
Listen.
Because, again,
Don't be hating, Clark. Don't be hating, bro.
the views of Peter Clark are not the views of the show. They're his specifically. Don't sue us.
me.
Sue him.
Sue me.
Sue him.
Yeah.
We don't have the same lawyer. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, so me. That's fine.
What were we saying? Thanks, Pete. Totally threw us off.
No, we're talking about. I thought Manny had a good fight, and as soon as I said Roy, it got cut off.
Well, this is what happened.
We went on your thoughts for.
I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. I picked Thurman to win by unanimous decision. I thought by hook or by crook. What PBC wanted was for Thurman to win.
Yeah.
Thurman Spence becomes a bigger fight. Thurman Crawford becomes a bigger fight. Thurman Pacquiao, the second rematch. Thurman Floyd Mayweather, all bigger fights for PBC. But now Manny's in the driver's seat. Manny can fight Spence, he can fight a Thurman rematch. He can fight
Mayweather.
I mean,
Little Twitter banter there going and
going back and forth.
Why? You know,
Back
it's a
and
little
forth.
coincidental kind of, right?
Going back and forth.
Are they laying an egg here? Are they, you know?
And going back and forth.
I can't take it. I can't take
He's
it.
gonna pay $150 for the actual fight.
No.
We're gonna go.
Yeah, you
to,
are.
yes, we're gonna go to Central Jersey, watch the fight at Pete's house.
No.
I can't wait.
Bring the beer, Pete. I'll bring the beer.
Before we get our guest on, Steve Kim from ESPN, who was countless years of experience in boxing, and who also was at DC for the tragedy that occurred this weekend. Maxim Dudashov, rest in peace. If you guys haven't watched it yet, grueling stuff on ESPN. 11th round, trainer Buddy McGirt is actually urging him to let me throw the towel in. Well, 11th round when he stopped.
Yeah,
He's urging him in the 9th round. Urging him in the 9th round. 11th round. He's like, I'm gonna stop it. You can't go out there anymore. And essentially stopped it. ESPN has graphic footage of him stumbling outside the ring. I think there's one of him throwing up. Eventually, immediate emergency surgery. So when we find out he passed away, I believe it was Monday morning. So rest in peace. Again, boxing is a brutal sport. It's not a game. You don't play boxing. So as much as we joke around about sports and all that other stuff, when it comes to boxing, I really try to not use the word bum or, tomato can, because whoever jumps in that ring has more courage than me and you, because we're not in that ring, and we just talk about the fights. Your thoughts while I get Steve Kim on the line.
Listen, it's always a sad day when anything like this happens. We've seen this happen before, whether it's gone to the tragic part of death or whether we've seen like Cologne, and we've seen this with
I think there's been
in
about
New York.
I think there's been about a dozen like the last past year.
We've seen
I'm talking about international.
Yeah, but even just in our backyard in New York, we've seen it. So we've seen all of this happen recently, and you even go all the way back. It's in the history of the sport.
It's the risk. It's the
Yeah,
risk. It's the risk.
and you know every time you go in that ring, you're putting your body on the line, you're putting your life on the line. So it's not just about, listen, I'm going out there and being a warrior, and that's the thing that boxing fans, they're so into. Like, you gotta finish out the fight. You gotta be a warrior. You gotta do whatever. But then when it comes to it, you know what? You gotta think about your own life. And it's one of those things that you gotta find some way to get through. And that's another thing that the boxing community has to get through.
Hey Steve, what's going on, man? It's Vic from Two Dudes and a Mexican. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I'm ready to go here.
Steve, we were just talking about what happened this past weekend at the MGM Harbor in DC. You were there live, and you covered it pretty much better than anyone else. Tell us your thoughts and what occurred that night.
You know, obviously the fight was what it was. Very hard physical fight, specifically for Maxim Dadishov. After the 11th round of fight was stopped by Buddy the first guy. I don't get into this. Anyone that is second guessing Buddy McGirt, the trainer, or the referee, Ken Chevalier, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's really productive. In my view, this was the ultimate gray area and a catch-22 because while the fight was going in one direction, in my view, I thought Dadishov was doing certain things well enough and actually had his moments in the 8th, 9th, and 10th round where you could justify anything in the fight. And their overall game plan coming in was actually take Pacquiao into the deep waters. Now, obviously, the 11th round was very lopsided, and it was at that point that Buddy decided to wave the white flag, which I think we all agreed with. And we all know the aftermath. And the only thing I would really question is, did the Maryland Commission handle this the right way? Were they negligent in allowing Maxim Dadishov to walk out on his own power, and did they get him enough medical assistance? Because at this point, every second counts. And, you know, looking back at the event, I can honestly say that in good conscience, I ever thought that fight should have been stopped before the 11th round. Again, I don't think second guessing does a lot for anybody. After the Teofimo Lopez main event, I got to the hospital alongside Gene Wang of the Washington Post. We arrived there right around 1:40 at the Prince George Hospital. And it was very surreal being there. The first time I've ever really done that as a reporter. My editors and everyone else basically assigned me that after the fight that I was to go down there and cover the story. And Edith Klimas was there, the manager. Renata Janosevicius was the strength and conditioning coach, who was actually going to be the last guy to stay there throughout the weekend until the wife arrived. And we were able to make our way towards the area, the waiting area where the doctor came out that operated on Dadishov. It was a 2-hour surgery. He made it clear that he had a subdural hematoma, which is a bleeding of the brain, and that part of the skull was taken out to account for the anticipated swelling that was going to occur. But they really couldn't give a status or say too much until the wife arrived due to HIPAA regulations. Now, the one thing that I'll never forget is that we were walking back out through this facility to go back to the hotel. They actually wheeled Dadishov right across from us as he came out of surgery to the ICU. And it's probably an image that I'll never get out of my head. I had to actually turn away. Saturday morning, right around 11:15, me and Donatas actually went back to Prince George's to see Dadishov. We were put on the approved list, stayed about an hour. So there was no real visible signs of improvement, and there were 2 nurses with him the whole time, and they were not able to give us any information either. They were prohibited. Then there's nothing you could really do till the wife was going to arrive, and that was going to end up being a Monday night. Then Sunday, I had to do a sports center hit again in the morning, so I went there, saw him for about 5 minutes, and there were 2 doctors, including the one that was doing the surgery. She was in there also. didn't want to get in the way. I just wanted to have visual evidence that he was at least alive at that point. And then that was it. And then Tuesday morning, my understanding is from a good source that his condition took a turn for the worse. He had more than one stroke. And then he passed away, unfortunately.
So, Steve, the reason I wanted to get you on, I mean, obviously it's hard for you to talk about because you were there live. We saw it on TV, so we have no recollection of what you saw firsthand. But the thing about the sport of boxing, the sport that we love, it always gets pub when something bad happens. You know, everyone starts talking about boxing when something bad happens. Never usually when something good happens, when you have a great fight. You know, it might get a Sports Center top 10, but it won't really be front page news. So once this happened, I started listening to a lot of New York sports talk radio, and I was listening to the drive home yesterday, and the New York media basically put this as how come boxing doesn't do the things maybe football does to protect its players, maybe hockey does, you know, what have you, because football obviously is a dangerous sport, so is hockey. But in our sport, you know, there is no headgear, there is no helmet. So what can we do? Is there anything we can do to make this sport safer? And I guess for those that don't understand our sport, you know, you walk in that ring, you might not walk out. But for you covering this fight firsthand, is there anything that can be done to make the sport safer?
You know, in this particular instance, the only thing that would have saved Maxim Dadashov or for Buddy McGirt or Kenny Cavalier, the referee, to have a crystal ball that could have looked 72 hours ahead. I'm just telling you, nobody there ringside in the immediate aftermath of that fight being waved off got that was too late. And I still remember Glenn Tapia taking an incredible beating from James Kirkland, Antoine Douglas just getting beaten in submission by Ivanka Kasaiva. And I remember tweeting during those fights in the middle round saying this is getting very dangerous. No one said that in this fight. To me, boxing is a lot like auto racing. Bruce Franklin's Top Rank Matchmaker made a great point that every time that these guys go out there to perform, with the nature of this particular vocation, it's a very dangerous one, you're at risk. You may not know it, but eventually you will be. And if you look at both sports, auto racing and boxing, there are improved safety regulations throughout the years. There's advanced equipment, there are more restrictions, there are medical suspensions, there's more medical personnel on site at each of these events. But when you reach those fights that are long, hard, and grinding, where there's a lot of physical attrition, let's say if it's done to one man, more or less, these are the toughest things that you're going to have to really deal with. Now, I will say this, though, Vic. In my view, we can do all the second guessing we want, and maybe some of it's fair, I don't think most of it is. But I think there needs to be a culture shift and a philosophical change in the sport of boxing. Is that we can't make going the distance when a guy is getting beat up badly as some sort of great moral victory. We need to adopt more or less the MMA approach. And again, I know it's a different sport, but when a guy taps out or waves the red white flag, we should accept it that it just is not their night, and we shouldn't be so harsh on trainers and fighters who believe that we should be able to live another day without getting put through the meat grinder. I think that's the biggest thing we have to look at. And if you're Maryland and every other commission, you have to look at your practices and procedures and how you deal with those situations. When we pick it up and we're fast enough to medical help. Okay, and my understanding is Maryland, they released a statement to me and Dan Ricciel. They are going to review what they did on Friday night. So us as boxing fans and observers and media, and specifically those who are in the boxing, we got to start taking it a little bit easier on fighters and be more empathetic to what they're going through in certain fights, and understand sometimes discretion is the better part of valor.
So Steve, I've seen a lot of hot takes out there. I mean, I've seen Nigel Collins tweet that boxing shouldn't be legal, even though he's covered boxing for his whole life. I'm not sure he meant it in that way, but as a fan, like, is there kind of like a dichotomy or kind of like a contradiction where we love this sport, but things like this may happen. And how do we kind of do with both? Because we know there's a risk of someone possibly dying, but we love the great fights.
You're right. I don't believe boxing should be banned. Look, because that conversation comes up a lot. I still remember as a very young kid, I think it was November of 1982, seeing Dooku Kim died because of the aftermath of his fight with Ray Boom Boom Mancini, who I know very well now. You know, the problem with banning anything is that prohibitions never worked in our country. I actually think that boxing is right with inequality in terms of giving people, young people specifically, guidance, focus, and direction. And if you ban it in America, it doesn't mean it's going to be worldwide. To me, that's just very simplistic to say that and very shallow. But you know, if you want to go by in terms of, well, it's bad for people's physical health, and there's an incredible toll that is placed on people that participate in it, well, then at that point, why don't we ban professional football? Because I would actually argue that if you look at the long-term physical effects, for a year, football is probably more damaging in numbers than the sport of boxing. I put it to you like this. We all know what we're getting into. You know what you're getting into as a fighter. You know what you're getting into as a media member. You know what you're getting into as a manager, as a trainer, and a promoter. The risks that are involved. It's almost like, I would put it like this analogy. It's like being a coal miner. You know what danger exists when you go into that mine, that you're going to get black lung, you're going to get other diseases, you're putting yourself in harm's way of a lot of different things. But it's also, for many people, a really good living, and they accept those risks. But with that said, just because they are willing participants doesn't mean that those in charge, the regulatory board, don't have a responsibility to do everything they can to ensure the most safe, healthy work environment. You can do whatever you want with boxing. It'll always be a dangerous sport, much the same way football or auto racing or anything else of that nature would be.
Again, we're live. Two Dudes and a Mexican, ESPN boxing writer, Steve Kim, one of the great minds in the sport of boxing. Steve, just to switch gears a little bit, I know we had to get the serious thing out the way, but what were your thoughts, Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman this weekend?
Manny Pacquiao was another very impressive notch on his belt. I don't know where you rank this among his all-time victories. I think it's certainly top 10, if not top 5, given the fact that he showed for him 40th and mid-30s. And well, Keith Thurman back in January when he beat Jose Tito Lopez, but struggled and got buzzed in that 7th round, I said to myself, if there's ever a time that Manny should face Keith Thurman where he can really beat him, it would be now. And with that, I thought, you know what, I edged to Pacquiao. A big psychological shift in that fight happened in the first round. With that knockdown, I thought Keith took a few rounds to get his bearings going. And I asked Joe Gleason about that. It was on the call for Fox. He didn't think there was any doubt that psychologically that knockdown was injured. That Thurman wasn't so much hurt physically, but it was psychologically that he had doubt in his mind that, you know what, this old man is still pretty damn good. To his credit, came back second half of the fight, made it a little bit closer before I thought Manny salted it away by winning at least 2 of the last 3 rounds and really putting an exclamation on the test. Manny is an all-time great. I'm not really big into lists. I'm not a true historian, but he's certainly in the top 15. If you look at what he's done, and if you actually look at it, since moving to Jeff Horn, a fight that most people think he won pretty handily, he's a pretty big name. Lucas Batiste is probably faded. Adrian Broner, who's probably a better name than a fighter right now, but a Keith Thurman. So take a look at the level that he's reaching at age 40. He still might have a little bit left in the gas tank, but with that said, I'll be honest, with the way he was getting hit with those right hands in the second half of that fight, it does lead me to believe that it wouldn't surprise me if that's going to be his last really great performance as a prize fighter.
Two Dudes and a Mexican with Steve Kim. Steve, this is Peter here. Thanks for joining us. I just want to get in a little bit more with Pacquiao. What do you think is next for him? Do you think he will go to a Spence? Do you think he'll go to the winner of that fight? Or do you think he'll have a rematch with Thurman? Do you think we'll see Maypac 2? What's next for him?
Okay, now here, that's interesting you say the Thurman rematch, because I asked Freddie Rose, if you had your brothers, what fight do you want from Manny? And he actually said the Thurman rematch. He thought it was a very good fight, and it seems to me that everyone's comfortable facing him again.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that's really going to be the case. At this stage of Manny's career, I think he's looking for new adventures. But with that said, I don't think there's any way that they will tangle in their own fence. They look at him as being too good, too big, too long, too strong, too powerful. And I just don't get the sense that Sean Gibbons, who was the advisor there, will allow that. Not on his watch. And he's made it clear that he will play Errol Spence just like Terrence Crawford. And once that type of rhetoric happens, you kind of know who is or is not an option. Now, I know all of you guys are going to groan, but until the door is completely slammed, I would not close the door on a Mayweather matchup. And I can hear everyone groaning out there, but think about it. Both guys are approximately the same age. On the first fight, neither guy's going to get really hurt all that much. And lastly, for each individual, it's the largest financial bonanza there is. It actually makes a lot of sense from their perspective.
And another thing regarding Pacquiao, I mean, it was one of the, as you said, it was one of his most impressive that he's had recently. And you mentioned how you're not sure if this may be his last big hurrah. Because of that, do you think that'll actually make him go towards another Pacquiao fight to try to end it off one more time, or do you think he's going to try to build up to that?
You know, that's interesting. I don't know what his actual contractual status is with PBC and Alan Heyman. I believe it was a 3-fight deal that he's 2 fights. Manny doesn't need the money, but they call it professional prize fighting for a reason. And if you're going to do this one last time, and let's go with that scenario, you got one last fight before he calls it a day. Doesn't he owe it to himself to make the most amount of money?
Yeah.
And then if you combine it with the fact, well, me and Floyd really didn't hit each other the first time. I don't know if there's any other real option. I mean, look, I think Danny Garcia would be a pretty good option, given the fact Danny's flat-footed, and I think he's fairly easy to figure out. I know Freddie's always liked that fight. He's talked to me about that fight for at least 2-3 years. Mikey Garcia makes a lot of sense, given that Mikey's really a natural lightweight. He could probably perform at 140. But then we've all read the report that Mikey Garcia might be going to the throne and Eddie Hearn. So as much as people hate it, and I don't care what anyone says, every time a new Transformer movie comes out, I don't know what they're up to at this point. I've never watched one. There's a lot of people that groan, right? And they're like, oh, God, not this. But guess what? Every time the box office report, they seem to do pretty well. So even if they have only 1/2 to 2/3 of the interest of 2016 when they first angled, that fight still does more business than any bout in boxing today. That's the reality. We may not like it, but that is the reality.
This is Two Dudes and a Mexican. We're here with boxing expert, boxing writer for ESPN, Steve Kim. Steve, nice to meet you, man. I'm the resident Mexican, Dave. So I wanted to know what was your card at the end of the fight of the Thurman Pacquiao fight, and what did you think of the 114-113 that went to Thurman?
You know, Glenn Thurman's been a pretty good judge generally, but everyone has an off night. I guess you're not saying I can get 7 rounds to beat Thurman. Watching it in the beginning, the first fight, I was actually still in the Washington, D.C., Maryland area. It felt like 115, 112. Watching it again last night, I had 116, 111. So anyone had 7.84 for Manny Pacquiao, I think, is in the range of reason. The most charitable I could be, if I was a one-time pom-pom waiver with 6'6", so even if it was 6'6" with the knockdown, that makes it 114, 113. And I think that's another facet, guys, of what makes this victory so impressive for Manny Pacquiao. That he didn't eke it out, it wasn't close, it wasn't controversial. He clearly beat Keith Thurman at age 40.
Yeah.
And Steve, before we let you go, I just want to get a quick take on the NBA offseason. How you think your Lakers are going to do this year?
Well, they'll be better because I think they're going to make the playoffs. But, you know, when you have two of the top 6 players in LeBron and Anthony Davis, you should be pretty good in theory. But, everyone seems to have 2 elite players nowadays, or a certain combination. Now the question is, as a Laker fan, is how good is Kyle Kuzma as a third wheel that can he consistently provide enough scoring in between those 2 guys? The other thing is, we have to be honest with Laker fans. Anthony Davis is not exactly AC Green when it comes to durability. He doesn't always play a lot of games. And that's the one thing that kind of concerns me. And then you got to fill out the rest of the roster. And role players are important. And it's a long grind. But, LeBron said he needed a second superstar. They got it. And I don't want to hear that, well, they could get Kawhi Leonard. Look, that to me, as a Laker fan, that would have made the NBA soaring. And I know Peter agrees with me on that. Even as a Laker fan, if they would have got Kawhi 5-0, I would have been like, okay, I'll watch your name. Kawhi going to the Clippers actually makes the NBA overall a lot more interesting throughout the season.
Well, that's my main man, Steve Kim from ESPN. Steve, thanks for coming on. We appreciate your time. If you want to find Steve Kim at the fights, he's usually wearing flip-flops and shorts. Jordan sandals.
That's gangster, man. I like it.
I actually wear my Jordan slides.
Hey, thanks, Steve, man. We'll talk soon, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Anytime, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was my main man, Steve Kim from ESPN. Again, personal friend of mine and Peter's. We've seen him come up as a guy who's been on the boxing grind for a while. He was, before Max Boxing, him and Dougie had a website. I forget what it's called. Maybe it was Boxing Talk. But regardless, him and Dougie have come a long way. Now he's at ESPN. And like I said, he covered that Max and Dudashoff story. It was really good. Kept us all informed. Like for boxing Twitter, everyone usually copies, retweets, and puts it as their own, or click my link. They were basically giving accounts of what Steve was reporting. Probably didn't give him credit because that's the way the world of boxing works.
That's the world media.
So so while most of the people were doing these things for retweets and clicks, Steve was actually there to keep us informed. That's my man.
I wanted to give one more comment about the fight because a lot of people seem to have the 115-112 score. And the funniest thing about that is the first round, Thurman was winning that first round.
He was winning.
So if he doesn't get knocked down with 30 seconds to go in that round, he wins that round. It's a draw. So as much as how great we said Pacquiao was, this was a really even fight. Like he's won. If he doesn't get knocked down, this is a majority draw on the cards.
Yeah, but you can say that now, but you don't know how the fight plays out either, though. You don't know if Pacquiao strategizes differently. I do admit Pacquiao seemed like he started getting a little more tired as the fight went on, and it looked like, and Steve was on point when he said, taking those rights. I mean, he was taking more punishment than you usually see Pacquiao take like
that. The 10th round sealed it. When he hit him with that body shot, that was what sealed it.
I mean, I don't think he ever got hurt though, because you saw it. I mean, he was even pounding his own head, which I don't get too. Like when a fighter gets like hit and then you hit yourself. I mean, why do that?
So, get your own stuff hyped up,
But I thought he would have convinced.
So I wanna end the show with the last 10 minutes that we have before trivia to go over some clips that I heard on the Michael K show. Just because, listen, this is our sport. I came up, the only reason I'm in podcasting, broadcasting, videos, sports journalism, I don't want to say I'm a journalist, I just talk a lot of shit.
It's still journalism.
Was because of what I heard. I wanted to make it just a boxing specific show today. I want to leave you with some comments, and I want to listen to the comments, and I want you to let me know your thoughts. So this was on yesterday's Michael K show.
Almost like throwing the flag in football. Gets to say, I want to look at the cards. If the cards show the fight is lopsided completely, they stop the fight. That's fine, and I think that makes perfect sense.
Stop it right there. So what Peter Rosenberg is basically saying is, if you're in the 8th round, and you're down 7 rounds to 1, you should automatically stop the fight. What are your thoughts?
No, of course not. I mean, listen, how many fights have we seen that have been historic where, I mean, the one that comes to mind, like for me, and I'm a little biased, but Chavez, right?
Yeah.
Chavez versus Meldrick Taylor, right? I mean, say again?
Obviously,
Yeah, so, and it's just like, you know, listen, if you're there still fighting and you're not taking punishment, you know, you still have a chance to win, and that's the beauty of boxing. You know, it's not just 6 rounds and then let's see the cards. It's not just 10 rounds and let's see the cards. It's 12 rounds. So you got to fight all those 12 rounds. Yes, sometimes you can try to slide and stay away in that last round, but you can still get caught. You know, miracles happen, and it's just kind of like baseball, man. When you're able to hit that home run in the end and win it for for your team. Same thing with boxing, man.
How close was Sergio Martinez to getting knocked down to 12?
Yeah, there you go. That's another one. That's another great one. So
listen, he swept the first 11 rounds, and that one round almost killed him.
That's all it takes, and that's the beauty of the fight, man. It's 12 rounds. You better be careful for those 12. You better watch, and you better fight it, all the way to that last bell ring.
All right, so I'm gonna pose this one to you. Listen to what it says here.
But again, at the end of the day, if you can't die, how do people die? How can a fight a sport that's already struggling the way boxing has been for years survive things like death? I mean, the sport is actually suffered. It used to be the number one sport in this country.
Right. First of all, you get the next one. This is the one I want to talk. This is the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my fucking life. Because here's why. Larry Merchant said, which I wanted to ask Steven, I totally forgot. Boxing is never gonna die. Forget how it goes. Steve knows it. Boxing will never die or will never be in this. So basically, boxing can save itself and it can't kill itself.
Yeah.
I think that was the premise. Yes, it's not going to be the number one sport, maybe ever. Like it was, when horse racing and baseball were American pastimes. But to say that boxing is struggling and that this death might do more harm than damage, that's the wrong way and irresponsible way to cover the sport.
Yeah.
Because if Peter Rosenberg done his research, he would have known that the zone has just injected boatloads of money into the sport. His own network, the network that he works for, ESPN, injected boatloads of money into the sport and are using boxing to get their ESPN Plus network off the ground.
Yeah.
Say what you want, boxing, MMA is a big part of it. I know ESPN Plus has other sports at that time, but boxing and combat sports and MMA are at the forefront. Fox Sports, boatload of money into the sport. So for him to say something like that is outrageous, irresponsible, and again, while I want boxing to be a mainstream sport, half the people that inject themselves into it when something like this happens, or when it's Mayweather Pacquiao, Canelo Triple G, the Stephen A. Smiths of the world, Peter Rosenbergs of the world, they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. So for them to be on the radio, and I respect the show, I watched it a lot more than I did before because Mike Francesa is fucking retarded now. For them to say that, and I like Don LaGreca more than probably Kay and Rosenberg. For them to say something like to me is irresponsible. What are your thoughts?
I completely agree. I think he didn't really think before he spoke, which he does that a lot. But the point is that you're talking about a sport that brings in millions and millions. Like, you can't say it's a dying sport when you can have a fighter like Manny Pacquiao go out there and work for $10 million this past weekend, and the fight bring in how much money it brings in. It's not a dying sport. It's never going to be dead, like you said earlier. It's one of those sports that is always going to be between a certain level. It's not going to get too high. It's not going to get too low. The hardcore people are always going to be involved no matter what. You can put the biggest crap boxing fight out there, you're going to have hardcore people still watching. So it's not going to ever go away. So trying to say, it's killing itself and anything, as bad as it sounds, something like that where you see a lot of violence, where we see blood in the ring, people like watching that. Like, people are going to watch it. They're never going to stop watching something like that.
Let me see what he continues to say.
Certainly, it is dropped in the pecking order because I think of the violence. What number is it? Let's be honest. It's hard to gauge because I'm sure the ratings for a particular fight might be better than like a hockey game or soccer. It's once a week. Of course, people that are fans of fighting are going to watch that particular fight on that Saturday night at 11 o'clock. Yeah,
But
so
would
it's
you
hard to
say-
relate to it. But as far as when we in the order of how much we talk about it on this show, what is it, 15? No.
All right, so I'm gonna stop right there before we go to the last clip. The sport of boxing is declining because of the violence. What the fuck is football then, Dave?
I was just about to say, what's football then? What's hockey? I mean, hockey, there's violence too. I mean, I think he's just talking out of his ass and he doesn't really know what the hell he's talking about. Is this the same guy that, what show is he on again?
He's the Michael K. show.
Oh, no.
Rosenberg's on the morning show.
Yeah, on the morning show, right? That's him, right? Okay, so he's the one that's talking, he's the one that's pretty much saying all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't know what the fuck's up.
So here's the thing: boxing. I get it.
People like violence, man. I mean, listen, people pay for it. I mean, it's from the beginning of time till now. I mean, violence sells, just kind of like, you know, sex sells, but violence sells in sports. I mean, people want to see the hits. People want to see, you know, that stuff on the field.
Went off what I said before. The times where you just no defense, they're just going at each other. That's the plus that we say is the fight of the year. We like fights. Like
So
that.
another thing I want to add is he says on a Saturday night at 11. Misinformed again, because how many fights are we watching on a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday? And not for nothing, a lot of these boxing fights that are on ESPN, that might be on Fox Sports, that are on Fox, get better ratings than a hockey game,
They do.
than a baseball game. Maybe not more than NBA and the NFL, but they're right up there.
they
So
get
for
good
her to say
ratings.
15,
Yeah, it makes zero sense.
and then here's the last one before we go to breaking news and end the show.
Probably boxing has not been on the table since Mayweather Pacquiao. What was that?
Obviously, he hasn't been looking at the numbers of
You haven't looked
boxing
at
has been producing
you haven't looked at any
lately.
Canelo fight, any Joshua fight, any Pat. Like the numbers are there. Like people are watching it. You gotta see. You saw Mikey Garcia and Spence do over 400,000 in pay-per-view buys.
See, but
people paid money to see that.
See, but that just tells me that's coming from not a real true boxing fan that doesn't know about boxing.
Oh, he's a casual.
This
no
is this
doubt.
is a
But the
guy
thing
that
is- the thing is that if you're
gonna
gonna
attracted to.
listen, I'm not gonna sit here and talk about European soccer. I'm sorry, European football.
Covered it when there's if network covers it.
Either way, I'm not gonna sit here and talk about European football or Copa America or the Gold Cups and not do my research. You're saying that boxing hasn't been at the big table since Mayweather Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez, Triple G1, Canelo Alvarez, Triple G2, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence. I mean, this is just off the top of my head. I just think it's irresponsible. I think the way boxing is in this country, like I said, we only get pub, and I'm saying we because I'm still part of the boxing community. We only get pub if something goes wrong. I don't know if something goes right, we might get a tick on the Sports Thunder top 10. And that's irresponsible on all ends. Before we end the show, breaking news. Dillian White, everyone's favorite heavyweight, busted.
3 days before.
Banned substance 3 days before.
3 days before your
Complaining
fight.
about a heavyweight title shot. He's been the mandatory for 1,600 years.
Hey, Wilder keeps
Now
talking.
what? Now what?
There's another future Wilder opponent that got popped. Every time Wilder's gonna fight somebody, the opponent gets popped. There's another one that he was supposed to fight against. His number one contender
Maybe
for
it's
WC.
Wilder.
He's the number one contender for WC belt, Wilder's belt, and he gets popped. This is about the fourth time that's supposed to happen. It's ridiculous. And he's been complaining for a long time, saying I need a title shot, and this happens.
Before we leave, we'll talk about more of that on Sunday as more of the details come out. Maurice Hooker, Jose Ramirez, to me the best fight of the weekend. Who's your pick?
Jose Ramirez.
Decision, knockout.
Decision.
Mo Hooker, Jose Ramirez, live from Texas.
I got Hooker decision.
Woo! I'm the deciding vote.
Yep.
I'm going Hooker by knockout.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Knockout. Wow.
I
Yeah.
need Mo Hooker.
All
We're gonna
three-
leave
all
on that.
three different.
We don't even need an outro music because they're playing freaking who is this? Kendrick from Black Panther.
Yeah, Black
So we'll see you
Panther.
Sunday. Hope you enjoyed the show.
That's the outro.
That's our outro. Peace. Yes,